Oprah Winfrey's jaw reportedly dropped the instant investigators traced a shadowy police badge from Maui's burned-out streets straight to Sean P Diddy Combs, and the same name kept surfacing in every catastrophe she couldn't escape: John Pelletier. That single revelation detonated like dynamite under Hollywood's red carpets. Back in late 2024, a quietly syndicated article hinted that Maui Police Chief John Pelletier moonlighted as a transporting fixer for both Diddy and Oprah. No context, no proof, just a whisper. Most editors spiked it as a rumor. Yet, while cameras hunted Grammy gowns and daytime TV ratings, a civil complaint by dancer Ashley Parham hit federal court in March 2025. She alleges Combs' crew drugged and abducted her in 2018 and names Pelletier as the impostor deputy who materialized from Las Vegas, flashed a fake California badge, and ordered officers to bury the report. Suddenly, that discarded transporting claim grew fangs. Pelletier wasn't just any cop. He ran the Las Vegas massacre response in 2017, deciding which surveillance clips America could see and which stayed locked away. He then resurfaced on Oprah's adopted island as incident commander during the 2023 Inferno, where residents were trapped behind barricades while flames swallowed Lahaina, and where Oprah owns roughly 1,000 acres of prime hillside real estate. Now, lawyers argue those three dots, Vegas, Maui, Parham, connect by design, not coincidence, with Pelletier acting as the ultimate cleanup operative for ultra-wealthy power players. He snarls back that the allegations are false and baseless, and vows never to resign, yet every denial only deepens public suspicion. Why does disaster, missing footage, and celebrity immunity follow the same man like a personal storm cloud? But then, just as mainland reporters scramble for answers, a sealed grand jury subpoena lands on an LA courthouse desk, hinting that Pelletier's alleged nexus reaches far beyond Maui's shores. Investigators tracking that same badge from Oprah's quiet Maui ranch to Diddy's Los Angeles studio now claim it belongs to one man who will not step aside: Maui Police Chief John Pelletier. 2 months after Ashley Parham's lawsuit hit federal court, Pelletier's own mayor urged him to take administrative leave because the allegations paint him as more than a rogue captain. They paint him as a professional fixer. He refused on camera, saying the claims are false and that no process server has reached him, even as the county council demanded answers. Why does that matter to viewers everywhere? The answer starts with pattern recognition. In Las Vegas, back in 2017, Pelletier controlled the Mandalay Bay shooting scene, limiting what footage the public could see, while conspiracy forums overflowed with talk of missing angles and multiple gunmen. 6 years later, he surfaced in Maui, steering press briefings while cars melted on Front Street and desperate families rammed through police barricades to escape the flames. Now, consider the geography. Oprah owns roughly 1,000 acres on that same charred island property she expanded just months before the fire, and she was praised for handing out supplies inside the evacuee stadium. Yet survivors still ask why roads were blocked and why helicopters with water buckets arrived hours late. Enter the lawsuit. Parham alleges Diddy's team drugged and kidnapped her in California, and that Pelletier, crossing state lines, impersonated a deputy to shut her down. Bank statements leaked by Vegas outlets show his debit card pinging hundreds of miles from his official post on the very weekend. Parham says he flashed that fake badge. Critics now argue that Pelletier's real job is not policing, but information control, moving between elite circles to keep headlines neat and liabilities buried. Oprah's team calls any connection speculative, while Diddy's lawyers dismiss Parham as an opportunist. But neither can explain why the same badge keeps circling the same billionaires. But then sealed phone records placed before a Honolulu grand jury hint that Pelletier's calls on the night of the alleged assault reached well beyond local dispatch, setting the stage for an explosive paper trail that could upend two empires. Court clerks whisper that the subpoena stack against John Pelletier is now taller than the Vegas skyline, and every sheet drips with dates that link directly to Oprah's acreage purchases and Diddy's back channel payouts. Inside a locked evidence vault in downtown Los Angeles, investigators reportedly found 15 months of encrypted text messages that map Pelletier's movements like pins on a crime board. Each time a national crisis flared, a message thread flared with it. Hours before the Las Vegas mass shooting footage vanished, a burner phone assigned to Pelletier pinged a tower near Mandalay Bay. Months before the Maui firestorm roadblocks trapped residents, a second device traced a route that ended at a hangar servicing private Gulf streams. And on the night Ashley Parham says she was drugged in California, a third handset registered 2 calls to an unlisted Beverly Hills number, later confirmed to be assigned to Combs Global Enterprises. Investigators also flagged a cluster of wire transfers routed through a Nevada credit union into an account belonging to a shell company whose mailing address sits 1 floor below Oprah's own network legal office. The memo line on each transfer reads simply, "Consulting." Those discoveries triggered a sealed grand jury subpoena served on 3 telecom carriers last month. Analysts are now parsing tower logs that could place Pelletier's badge in the same zip code as every scandal he is accused of burying. Insiders claim at least one subpoena also targets flight manifests for Oprah's Maui-based Cessna and Diddy's chartered Learjet during the week of Parham's alleged ordeal. If prosecutors confirm that both aircraft touched down near the same private airstrip within hours of each other, Pelletier's fixer narrative shifts from circumstantial to systemic. But then, auditors at the Federal Reserve notice identical consulting transfers hitting a second mysterious account linked to a Caribbean trust, and that discovery threatens to expose an offshore cash highway, feeding an even broader network of crisis management operatives poised to detonate. Federal investigators now insist the hottest ember in this scandal is a single note in Federal Reserve alerts pairing Chief John Pelletier with a Cayman Islands trust, 5 wire transfers through a Nevada credit union labeled consulting fees mirror deposits from firms linked to Sean Combs, and a foundation controlled by Oprah Winfrey. That finding triggered subpoenas for the credit union paperwork and for data from 3 prepaid phones already tied to Pelletier travel logs. Maui Mayor Richard Bisson again urged administrative leave, saying the community cannot heal while its chief faces corruption clouds. Pelletier refused, calling the accusations manufactured and insisting he has never taken money from Combs or Winfrey. The Las Vegas Review-Journal then published fuel receipts, placing Pelletier's debit card at a Bakersfield airport on the very night Ashley Parham says she was taken in nearby Orinda. Cell tower pings also put a burner phone linked to him within 30 miles of Combs' estate. During the same hour, Parham claims she cried for help. Combs' lawyers dismiss the overlap as a coincidence. While Oprah's team says her trust never directed funds to Pelletier yet, neither side produces records that clear the timeline. Prosecutors now see a ridge pattern forming like ink on latent fingerprints. And if credit union logs confirm consulting money flowed during Maui's barricade orders, the fixer theory becomes racketeering fact. The grand jury reconvenes next week, and insiders hint a former Vegas colleague will testify that Pelletier once bragged he could erase evidence with a single call. Meanwhile, state ethics investigators in Nevada have quietly opened their own file after spotting the same consulting code on filings tied to a police charity Pelletier once chaired, suggesting the cash flow may stretch back years. Their preliminary summary describes a revolving door where crisis contracts and celebrity retainers blur into one unbroken revenue stream for those willing to police the spotlight. Justice Department insiders now whisper that prosecutors are stitching together a racketeering map so expansive it could topple Oprah Winfrey's philanthropic halo and Sean Combs' music fortress in the same courtroom, all because one badge belonging to John Pelletier keeps turning up where money and misery collide. That confidential draft, according to leaked memos, treats Pelletier not as an isolated corrupt officer, but as the linchpin in an enterprise that ferried hush payments, laundered disaster relief contracts, and rerouted charitable grants into offshore stacks. Treasury analysts reviewing those Cayman transfers flagged a repeating note that reads "consulting completed," followed by the exact initials of Diddy and a second line marked OW, a coincidence the Bureau of Financial Crimes calls mathematically impossible. Once the pattern triggered an automatic red flag, every related account froze, leaving close to $40 million in limbo and several Maui rebuilding projects suddenly cash-starved. Federal agents then traced a chain of encrypted tokens on a private blockchain that Pelletier allegedly used to timestamp phone instructions during crises. Each token links to GPS pings near either Combs Global headquarters in Los Angeles or Oprah's production office in Santa Barbara. One particularly damning token message surfaces on the night of the Maui wildfire when emergency sirens never sounded. The text reads simply, "Stand down, barriers hold." Investigators believe that phrase explains why police units blocked evacuation routes and why footage of the barricades vanished from department servers the next morning. Meanwhile, a former Combs accountant, now under protection claims, she processed 12 separate invoices labeled Pelletier Advisory, signed off by an own network assistant, then watched the paper trail disappear from internal logs after 30 days. She has turned over a thumb drive containing the original spreadsheets, a move that reportedly pushed federal prosecutors to elevate the case from conspiracy to suspected continuing criminal enterprise. But then an encrypted laptop recovered from Pelletier's Las Vegas storage unit begins to decrypt in a forensic lab, promising a vault of call recordings that could either prove every accusation or expose an even darker puppeteer. Forensic analysts finally crack Pelletier's encrypted laptop, and the first recovered audio file sends chills through the investigation room when his voice calmly says, "Assets secured, narrative managed, payment inbound." The laptop hides a hidden directory marked simply archive. Inside sit dozens of time-stamped recordings that play like a director's commentary for national nightmares. One clip, dated the morning after the Las Vegas concert tragedy, captures Pelletier instructing an unknown caller to limit camera angles to the shooter's suite only and to pull hallway feeds before the press briefing. Another file from the height of the Maui fire chaos records him confirming with a radio dispatcher that road barricades are holding and that the mainland media feed will focus on wind speed, not blocked exits. The most damning track, labeled AP, opens with Ashley Parham's faint voice pleading for help, followed by Pelletier assuring another male voice that the incident will be logged as intoxication and that victim transport is already arranged. Digital forensics also recovers a spreadsheet detailing fee schedules for what Pelletier calls event stabilization. Columns list tasks like asset relocation, footage suppression, and narrative development, with price points that rise as public attention grows. Two columns titled SC and OW display totals surpassing $10 million combined, aligning with the frozen transfers the Treasury flagged earlier. Clicking a macro inside the sheet triggers a pop-up that asks for a clearance code, which analysts override, revealing a contact list of burner numbers, including one traced to a private line inside Oprah's Santa Barbara studio and another belonging to a security chief at Diddy's Los Angeles compound. Investigators now believe Pelletier operated a bespoke crisis concierge service for marquee clients, selling rapid response packages that shaped headlines and buried liabilities. Prosecutors moved to seize every property he owns, including a desert storage unit rumored to contain backup drives and a second encrypted server. But then agents searching that storage unit uncover a locked metal case stamped with a United Nations emblem, hinting that Pelletier's reach might stretch beyond Hollywood power brokers and into global diplomacy, setting the stakes even higher. Intelligence officers pry open that United Nations metal case and discover diplomatic cargo tags dating back to the Las Vegas shooting, the Maui Inferno, and the night Ashley Parham vanished, proof the scandal may cross borders and treaty lines. Stamped manifests describe humanitarian liaison kits. Yet every listed destination matches a location where John Pelletier later appeared to command a crisis. Investigators noticed the kit from Maui shipped 2 days before the wildfires erupted, routed through a Nevada freight hub, then flown by charter jet to Kahului under diplomatic seal. Inside, they find high-bandwidth signal jammers, satellite phones pre-programmed to European numbers, and a flash drive containing template press statements in 6 languages. Those documents mirror the wording Pelletier used word for word at his televised Maui briefings when residents begged to know why escape roads were blocked. The discovery pushes the Justice Department to consult its Foreign Corrupt Practices Task Force. If Pelletier's event stabilization packages traveled on UN credentials while funneling private payments, prosecutors can invoke international bribery statutes and seize overseas assets tied to Sean Combs and Oprah Winfrey. Treasury analysts have already frozen $40 million of consulting transfers. Now they comb through parallel deposits in a Luxembourg clearing bank linked to a charitable fund Oprah created for wildfire relief and to a music industry trade group orbiting Diddy's studio empire. Meanwhile, Maui's mayor doubles down on demands that Pelletier step aside, but he remains defiant in uniform. Reporters press him about the metal case. He calls it standard emergency gear. Yet a leaked shipping invoice proves the cargo passed through a Greater Nevada Credit Union lockbox, the same institution flagged for wire transfer anomalies. Across the Pacific, residents of Lahaina gather for a torchlight vigil, chanting for answers and playing looped footage of police barricades. The crowd swells when word spreads that Pelletier's diplomatic credentials have been suspended. In that charged atmosphere, investigators race to decrypt the remaining flash drives, convinced the next file could reveal which global patron ordered Pelletier to silence a town in flames, and why that same patron might stand above even Oprah and Diddy in the hierarchy of hush. Overnight, a leaked Homeland Security memo delivers the cruel punchline to this widening scandal when analysts trace that United Nations cargo circuit to a private intelligence firm fronting for 5 undisclosed billionaires whose identities remain sealed behind court initials. The firm registers in Luxembourg, yet keeps its nerve center in a nondescript office park outside Las Vegas, the same city where John Pelletier first earned his reputation for commanding crisis scenes. Investigators now believe the diplomatic hits that followed Pelletier to every disaster were prepaid by that firm, with money routed through Greater Nevada Credit Union, then laundered in the Cayman Islands before surfacing as consulting fees in Pelletier's personal accounts. Banking regulators confirm that $40 million remains frozen after Treasury red flagged the pattern in late March, and auditors warn the final sum could double once foreign vaults are examined. Maui residents watching the story unfold gather outside county headquarters, chanting for the chief to resign, as drone footage of barricaded roads loops on makeshift screens. Families of Las Vegas shooting victims fly banners across social media, demanding that federal agencies reopen the case because hallway videos were withheld on Pelletier's order. Meanwhile, Oprah Winfrey's publicist issues a terse statement insisting she has no knowledge of any intelligence firm, though critics note that one of the court initials mirrors her legal name. Sean Combs releases a song fragment on social media claiming media vendetta, yet offers no evidence to counter the lawsuit that places Pelletier on his estate the night Ashley Parham was abducted. Inside the Justice Department war rooms, prosecutors sketched timelines on whiteboards showing Pelletier's phone pings, aligning with every dollar that moved and every siren that failed. They fear the unseen clients behind those initials might be wealthy enough to stall indictments. But then a whistleblower from that Luxembourg office steps forward with an encrypted thumb drive promising payroll rosters that finally unveil the 5 names at the top of Pelletier's crisis pyramid, setting the fuse. The whistleblower's thumb drive crashes through the investigation like a tidal wave, naming 5 secret financiers and placing John Pelletier on a direct retainer worth tens of millions. Within hours, federal agents verify that 2 of those financiers match initials already frozen by the Treasury after consulting wires moved through Greater Nevada Credit Union, a bank that advertises robust cash management tools perfectly suited for large wire activity. The whistleblower files also log a recurring payment note that reads Risk Mitigation O, a tag investigators now link to Oprah Winfrey's vast Maui property expansion in early 2023. Another column marks Artist Support SC, echoing allegations in a cascade of civil claims that Sean Combs operated a coercive network for years. Agents cross-reference the thumb drive with FinCEN advisory databases and confirm the same routing numbers, tripped automatic red flags, reserved for potential money laundering operations. Timeline charts then place Pelletier's personal debit card inside a Bakersfield airfield the very night Ashley Parham says she was forced into a vehicle only hours from Combs' Los Angeles base, contradicting his claim that he never left Nevada that weekend. Meanwhile, public outrage in Hawaii intensifies. Mayor Richard Bisson renews his demand that Pelletier step aside so Maui can heal. Residents replay helicopter footage showing police barricades that steered families back toward lethal flames, a tactic Pelletier still defends as necessary to avoid downed power lines. Every newly decrypted file deepens the pattern. One entry outlines media containment protocols issued just minutes after shots erupted at the Las Vegas concert, instructions consistent with Pelletier's documented role directing the incident response in 2017. Prosecutors now craft an indictment draft that treats Pelletier as the mastermind of an enterprise that commodified catastrophe, turning wildfires, mass violence, and personal assault into billable events packaged for billionaire clients. But then, investigators notice a 6th set of encrypted initials on the thumb drive, a global foundation tied to diplomatic cargo tags found in that United Nations case, hinting the crisis cartel may reach beyond American borders. Congressional investigators march into a closed-door hearing, waving a dossier so explosive it finally unites bitter rivals on one goal: dismantling John Pelletier's crisis cartel and the celebrity empires it guarded. The dossier weaves every thread exposed so far into one blistering timeline. It shows 51 wire transfers funneled through Greater Nevada Credit Union, leapfrogging to Cayman trusts, then landing in a Luxembourg intelligence shell that packed humanitarian liaison kits and shipped them under United Nations seals to every disaster Pelletier later controlled. Each transfer is stamped with a risk mitigation code that auditors now match to Oprah Winfrey's Maui land purchases and to Sean Combs' hush-budget ledgers. The dossier also confirms what Treasury hinted weeks ago: those wires max out at $84 million, dwarfing the $40 million already frozen. Inside the hearing room, lawmakers listen to a whistleblower recount how Pelletier set his event stabilization prices like a grim menu. Wildfire evacuation suppression cost $5 million. Mass casualty footage erasure cost $7 million. Victim intimidation ran on a sliding scale depending on media cycles. The whistleblower hands over audio of Pelletier boasting that his United Nations cargo tags grant him border immunity because customs sees blue logos and waves freight through. As word of the hearing leaks, a throng of Lahaina survivors gathers outside the Hawaiian state offices, chanting for arrest warrants. In Las Vegas, families of mass shooting victims demand a federal retrial of the official narrative. On Wall Street trading desks, analysts predict an unprecedented philanthropy scandal could slice billions from Oprah-branded ventures if prosecutors confirm she bankrolled any kits. Music industry insiders speculate that Combs may face racketeering exposure that could freeze royalties across streaming platforms. The committee chair closes the session by warning that subpoenas will fly within 48 hours and that nobody, billionaire or badge wielder, can outrun a nation's appetite for truth. Cameras capture that line and beam it worldwide. For the first time, John Pelletier goes silent, his legal team refusing comment as agents seal off his office. The crisis concierge who once choreographed chaos now stands one signature away from being its most notorious casualty.